Hey guys, and welcome to the Working Money channel. So it's February 24th, and DTCC is supposed to implement the CLS PAYplus into their platform today. And for those of you guys who don't know the history on this, I did a video on this. This is integrated with Ripple technology. So Mohammed Sadiq posted this on Twitter a couple of days ago, and he references Fame21 Moore's video on this. And guys, I will link this in the description. You should watch this video. This is Darren Moore. He does a lot of great research for the XRP community and posts some great videos on his channel. I will also link his channel in the description of this video. But essentially what he states in this video, and this is back from June, is his DTCC research. I'm not going to go over the full thing because he does spell it out quite succinctly in this 3-minute, 13-second video. Some of the highlights here just go back to January 2016. New DTCC white paper gets real about blockchain hype. And this from Ripple's own Insights website. And this back from September 2019, Rath Kahneman posts, the DTCC has released a white paper with Ripple implementing Accenture about DLT governance. And there are quite some connections in here with regards to how it works. They are going to be working with economies. That I believe has to do with the Ethereum blockchain for smart contracts. IBM and R3, we know R3 has the ability to settle in XRP. And so there are a lot of indications here that we are going to see some XRP usage within the DTC platform. One of the big ones was the PAYplus and CLS. CLS has a connection with Ethereum and PAYplus with Ripple and XRP. And now these two guys are connected. Guys, just watch the Darren Moore video. It is really informative and you'll get a lot out of it. Another connection that I found interesting just going back to this was the Ethereum and XRP link. And this information was given to us by Darren Moore way back in June. And so I don't know if you guys remember, I did a video just a few days ago. This video here, I will link it up here in the corner of this video here if you guys want to watch it. Was a video I did with regards to the Spring Initiative and how they plan on working with the Ethereum blockchain to build some infrastructure to bridge that financial gap between XRP and Ethereum. And we just heard about that recently. But going back to Darren Moore's video here on the DTCC thing, he mentions the fact that there was an Ethereum XRP relation from the get-go. So really interesting things coming out, guys. I'll link all this in the description. And another thing I wanted to talk about in this video was, actually, before I get into that though, I do want to make a note. I think YouTube is having issues with people talking about a certain thing that is occurring around the world. It rhymes with, okay, here, first word, if you're not looking at the screen, first word, light Mexican beer. Second word rhymes with Billy Ray Cyrus. So I think you can probably put it together. Guys, I'm going to bleep out every single time I say the word. I think YouTube is trying to prevent people from using this term as a buzz phrase to get people to click. But this next story has to do with that. Certain Mexican light beer rhymes with Billy Ray Cyrus. So I'm just going to bleep it all out, and hopefully YouTube will let me post what I want to post about this because it has to do with cryptocurrency. Let's go. The US economy, and more importantly, I guess the world economy, with regards to the US dollar and how that could affect cryptocurrency, the use of fiat currencies, and the potential need for liquidity. So first I wanted to start off with Gregory Mannarino, and that's at Greg Mannarino here on Twitter. What better way to deflect from a free fall US economy than dispersing a virus, allow it to spread, then blame what is going on in the market on that virus? So Greg here is thinking that there's a conspiracy going on with regards to because the US economy is in free fall. So this is one point of view. And you guys know me when it comes to conspiracy theories. I'm not necessarily a full-fledged believer in some of these conspiracy theories. But that said, I wouldn't put anything past the powers that be of the world. I lie somewhere in the middle. I think some of this could hold clout. So this is his theory on this. Then Plan B Wizard on Twitter posts this. Some of the world's biggest economies are on the brink of a recession. So this from CNN Business. The article gives some examples. Take Japan, the world's third largest economy, shrank 1.6% in the fourth quarter of 2019 as the country absorbed the effects of a sales tax hike and a powerful typhoon. It was the biggest contraction compared to the previous quarter since 2014. Then there's Germany, the biggest economy in Europe, ground to a halt right before the outbreak set in, dragged down by the country's struggling factories. The closely watched ZEW indicator of economic sentiment in Germany decreased sharply for February, reflecting fears that the virus could hit world trade. Bank of America economist Ethan Harris points to the number of smaller economies that are hurting too. Hong Kong is in a recession and Singapore could soon suffer a similar fate. Fourth quarter GDP data from Indonesia hit a 3-year low, while Malaysia had its worst reading in a decade, he noted to his clients on Friday. And the superpowers, China and India, also slowed in 2019. Fourth quarter GDP data for the latter comes out this week. So, economies on the brink of a collapse, possibly linked to the in some ways. John Luciano posted this. He tagged me in this tweet at LuckyJohn_XRP. Fears have pushed the US dollar to a 3-year high. So despite all this, the fact that the economy seems to be in free fall, the US dollar has been rallying against other fiat currencies. So despite all the fears that we've been hearing about worldwide, the United States as well as dollar-dominated assets are considered to be somewhat shielded from the outbreak's impact. America's economy is less reliant on trade and exports than its peers, for example. That means expected slowing of China's economic growth in the first quarter will hurt the United States less than it will other countries. And the US economy has been growing strong and is in its longest expansion in history. So, despite these fears, despite the fact that the US economy seems to be on the brink of collapse, I have the S&P here on the daily. Let me just put it on the weekly to give a broader picture of this. Despite all this, guys, we are still seeing record highs for the US economy. And so the last time the US economy really collapsed was back in 2008. We saw a huge dip and then nothing but growth since March 2009. Okay, it's almost been 11 years of continuous growth. Of course, peaks and valleys. There was a very scary dip in December 2018 where the S&P 500 just plummeted, but now we're seeing new highs and the US dollar is climbing as well. The Atlanta Federal Reserve's GDP Now model forecasts US growth will accelerate to 2.6% in the first quarter. With a tight labor market and modestly rising wages, the American consumer, who is the backbone of the US economy, is in a good place. So we've got some conflicting views here. The US economy seems to be in a good place, but is it being propped up? How does this relate to the rest of the world's economies, and how is the impacting this? Well, I saw this from CCN, and this is from a couple of days ago now, but 3 ways may have affected Bitcoin. And so Bitcoin, obviously the indicator of the entire cryptocurrency market, we've got to remember that. Is there a correlation between Bitcoin's price actions and the spread? Virus-infected yuan placed in quarantine, Bitcoin fixes this. Bitcoin mining takes a dive following China's clampdown. So there are some interesting correlations here with Bitcoin and the so Bitcoin's year-to-date gains seem to correlate with the outbreak. So let's go back to Bitcoin just for a sec here. The first documented case of was on December 31st, 2019. And if we look back here, okay, to the Bitcoin chart, let's put it back on the daily to give you guys a clearer picture here. December 31st was right here, guys, okay, this day right here. And we can see that since that day, Bitcoin has risen. So I just put it here on the chart. I don't know if you guys can see that arrow there. Okay, that's the 31st. And since then, we have seen Bitcoin's price rise compared to the US dollar. Now, of course, the rest of the crypto market is rising along with Bitcoin because other cryptos tend to always follow Bitcoin when these rallies occur. And so what does this mean? Well, let's go back to this article here. So they talk about China's stock indices and how they've plummeted. Because of the outbreak, of course, there are more cases of in China than anywhere else. But I just heard on the radio today that Italy, I believe it was Italy and South Korea, are trying to contain an outbreak of new cases that have just been discovered. And that's just from today, just from a couple of hours ago. I just heard the radio report. So from today, there are more cases now in Italy and South Korea. So is this a coincidence? Is this seriously a correlation? Well, Matty Greenspan says the correlation between Bitcoin and the dip is merely coincidental. He says, amazingly, Chinese stocks have already fully recovered from the dip. If stocks have scant been affected, it would be a difficult case to try and say that crypto has been noticeably moved by this. And so, guys, here's a map here if you're looking at the screen of where most of the cases have been spotted for, and you can see China hugely hit in the east. Now, One of the other things they were talking about was cleansing cash. And so here's just a screen grab from a Twitter post with somebody saying, well, Bitcoin will fix this. China quarantines used banknotes to stop the spread of the virus. So they are indeed now cleansing money because the amount of microscopic stuff, bacteria, whatever it is that are on physical banknotes can be disgusting. I just did a video this morning where I talk about trace amounts of feces actually found on banknotes. It's gross, okay? It exists. And I think that, you know, more people want to move away from this. And now clearly China quarantining and cleaning these banknotes so that they can help prevent the continuous spread of the Another case for crypto, CBDCs. You know, in this world where we're seeing more pandemics like this, there's even a special documentary on Netflix now called Pandemic, talking about the fact that we're going to see more and more of these as the years go on. Cleansing bills, kind of a band-aid solution for today, but once we move past physical fiat notes and go towards CBDCs, this is when we're going to start to see a change. So another case for cryptocurrency adoption. Physical banknotes can be a transmitter for things like the and why do we need to actually hold currency when we have computers and cards and all kinds of technology that can essentially do the same thing that physical banknotes did 100 years ago? We don't actually need the physical note to transact. Not only that, guys, talking about economies and how we're on the brink of a recession, this again will lead to more cryptocurrency adoption because of the need to source that liquidity. And we know XRP is going to be that financial mechanism that we use to source ODL going from one fiat to another, exchanging value across borders. And when people are panicking, selling their assets, where's the liquidity going to come from? Well, XRP is ready and set to go. And who would have thought, and I'm not saying that this is going to happen 100%, but who would have thought that it would have been a black swan event to bring the economy to its knees, i.e. the It's becoming clearer and clearer now, whether it's a conspiracy or not, as Gregory Mannarino suggests, the financial markets are looking precarious, and I have a strong feeling that cryptocurrencies like XRP are going to save the day when the other shoe drops. Anyways, that's just my opinion, but I want to hear what you guys think. Please subscribe to the channel if you want to be eligible for the Ledger Nano X giveaway on March 15th. Like the video if you like the content I'm providing. I always love hearing your comments. See you in the next one, guys.